Okay, guys. Listen, I heard about this last night. I- I'm like, what do you mean? So, we have a child that is 15 years old. He is autistic. He is back in ICE custody after having an emergency appendectomy. Now, I could not believe what I was hearing. So, Carla HH from one of our other friends in chats had asked me if I knew about this. I was like, no, I did not. Well, after she told me, I'm like, I'm covering this tomorrow. I'm covering this tomorrow. We are talking about this. I mean, look, I understand there's the law. But there's a lot of confusion about this little boy and how he ended up in ICE in the first place. So let's dive in and talk about it and see what we can come up with and figure out, is there somewhere we can help? What can we do? What the hell? That's what I'm going to say is what the hell. In other good news, I was just listening over to Gutters Collective. Yes, Jay Caro has pled guilty and admitted that he did take the life of baby Emmanuel. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad. No, he's not a hero. Hell no. And I hope he gets life in prison. But at least now we know that he did say, that he did admit, yes, the child is gone. And yes, he had something to do with it. Mother, don't know what she's going to do, but she will have another hearing. There is going to be a sentencing hearing in November. That's what I know so far. So anyway, let's get back on record over here and let's talk about this boy. What in the world is going on here? Let me pull this back up over here. Ooh, got a lot going on over here today. Okay. It's back right over here. How y'all doing? You doing okay today? Oh boy. It's finally cooling off this morning. Yes, it is. It's not morning, it's afternoon now. Okay. Here we go. Listen to this story. Houston police turned in a teen with autism to immigration officials. Now he needed an emergency appendectomy. This happened on October the 13th. So let me read you a little bit about what happened there. Back home. No, I don't want that. Okay. Go back over here. Pulling back up. Oops. Come on, stop that. That's enough. Of course, you know that's going to happen. As soon as I start reading something, it's going to. We'll pull it up. We'll pull it up on the other one. Woo. Okay. So I know that he has had the surgery, and I know that he's back in custody, which makes no sense. He wasn't even in the hospital that long. So here we go. Okay. Golly. You know what? When I was looking around, I discovered there's not only just this child, there are a few other teenagers who are now in custody of ICE. Okay, here we go. 15-year-old boy with autism has been in federal custody for more than a week. His mother asked the city officials to help bring her son home. So they're questioning, okay? The mother of the 15-year-old boy with autism wants her son returned home after he went missing in Houston earlier this month and ended up being placed in the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement. He's been in federal custody for more than a week. Activists are also demanding answers about why the Houston Police Department contacted U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after finding the missing teen and how he ended up with the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I want to know that. Somebody needs to be answering for that. Here's the backstory. Emmanuel Gonzalez Garcia is 15 years old. He disappeared on October the 4th while selling fruit with his mother and sister in Spring Branch. His mother filed a missing persons report the same day with the Houston Police Department. The boy is autistic and sometimes nonverbal. His social worker says he has the mindset of a 4 or a 5-year-old. Imagine a child with the mindset of a 4 or 5-year-old over in a refugee resettlement camp. Okay? On October 10th, his mother and the FIEL held a press conference to call for help locating the boy. Afterwards, the Houston Police Department notified the boy's mother that he had been found safe. Okay, well, if you found him safe, why didn't you return him? What they're saying. Fox 26 asked the Houston police why the boy was turned over to the Office of Refugee Resettlement. According to the police, HPD officers helped the Houston Fire Department with a welfare check and located the boy on October the 5th. The boy allegedly told the police he was homeless and from another country. He allegedly told the officers he didn't have family in the area and couldn't provide any contact information. Police say HPD officers tried for more than 4 hours to identify the boy. Police say after exhausting all other options, they contacted ICE. ICE then helped HPD place the boy with the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement on October the 6th. Okay. The ORR provides shelter and care for unaccompanied migrant minors. Okay. Houston police later learned that this teen was the same boy who had been reported missing. The family says they were notified by police on October the 10th that Emmanuel had been found. But he's not returned to his mother. Why? Fox 26 asked HPD if the officers followed protocol in this case, and police said the officers did everything right. All right. Mother has asked. At Tuesday's city council meeting, the mother begged city officials to help her bring her son home. The family is undocumented. Okay. FIEL Houston, an immigrant-led organization, said HPD made a serious mistake in this situation. Instead of looking for the missing persons report, instead of trying to find his mom, because Emmanuel is not an unaccompanied youth, his mom is right here, said Cesar Espinoza, which is an FIEL of Houston representatives. On Monday, Emmanuel was hospitalized. His family said he has received treatment for appendicitis at the Texas Children's Hospital. Okay, so it gets from bad to worse. Okay. He was recovering at the hospital, but FIEL says the ORR picked him up and he remains in federal custody. Okay, they know where his mother is. He was in the resettlement camp and he should not have been there. He's got the mind of a 4 or 5-year-old. He has now had surgery for an appendectomy surgery, and now he's back over there instead of being given to his mother. There is something very wrong with this picture. No matter what her status is, there's something wrong with this picture. Okay. City council and mayors, they've reacted. Several council members called the situation disturbing, unacceptable, and an incredible misstep. We will immediately put a team together. I'll be involved. We will discuss what options are available for this tragedy. We will hold everyone accountable and be very transparent, says Mayor John Whitmire. Okay, well, let's get going on it right now. Dig deeper. The ICE response was, in a statement over the weekend, ICE said the boy was never in their custody. Oh, really? Well, apparently he was. On October 5th, the Houston Police Department contacted ICE about a minor they had picked up who claimed to be homeless and from another country. ICE worked with the HPD to see if they could identify the minor or any of the minor's family members living in the U.S. When no family could be identified, ICE helped HPD place the minor with the Department of Health and Human Services and the Office of the Refugees Resettlement. At no point was the minor in ICE custody. Well, no, but you helped assist putting him over in the same place where you put people being resettled or children who are, here unaccompanied, which at one point, I believe, I need to check my facts on this, but I believe there was 300,000 of these children that were unaccompanied and that were just lost to the system. It was like nobody knew where they were. They would come over with people that they were not their parents. They would just hand the kids to these people and say, take them over for me, take them over for me. And, they would. So now here we go. Now let's see. What are they going to do to rectify the situation? And then here we go. This is from 22 hours ago. All right. Family is calling for an investigation into the detention of the teen by federal aid. Oh, here's another one. Listen to you guys. This was in Houston. This was in Houston, Texas. Here is another one right here. Family is calling for an investigation into the detention of a teen by federal agents in Chicago on Tuesday, with the DHS arguing it acted within the law. Christian Farr has the story here. This is thanks to Christian Farr, full credit. An attorney representing a 15-year-old boy taken into custody by federal immigration officers says he is investigating the incident while the government argues it acted appropriately in detaining the teen. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the 15-year-old was arrested on accusations of assault after he allegedly threw an egg at a Border Patrol agent. Okay, listen, I know he shouldn't be throwing things. I get that. But he threw an egg, okay? So then, let's go back over here. Okay, go back to this one. Now, as far as our Houston family goes, it was just one day ago. And this is what makes no sense. There is a picture right here of the child. I believe this is his mother he's standing here in the hospital with. The undocumented Houston teen with autism who is back in federal custody after the surgery. All right. The mom of the teen with autism is in federal custody, is demanding answers. Emmanuel Gonzalez, who went missing on 10 days ago, was located, okay? And then the 15-year-old was placed in the camp. Emmanuel's mom and Houston learned he was taken back into custody after he had this surgery. Okay, why was he not turned over to his mother after he had the surgery? I don't understand this. Advocates pressed for answers after this missing teen with autism was hospitalized after being placed. So Emmanuel's mom is now speaking to the city council. We've heard about that. Now, city council member Mary Nan Huffman said the name put on the report didn't match the name when they found the boy. Okay, well, who gave the name? We need to figure that out. Who gave the name? It wasn't necessary that HPD found this kid and immediately didn't try to reconnect with his mother, Huffman said. HPD said they spent 4 hours before they said CPS recommended they contact the Department of Health and Human Services. Although it was initially believed the teen was in ICE custody, the agency said it did not have the teen in their custody at any point, but that it got a call from HPD to assist with placing him over at the Office of the Refugees. So, the mayor is now offering to get his team involved to learn exactly how and what happened here. It says he's going to put a team together, they're going to staff it, and they're going to, it's obviously a tragedy, he says. He said they will hold everyone accountable. Well, she wants to put the responsibility if anything happens to Manuel now. Their fault, because he should have been able to go home back with his mom, Cesar Espinoza, with FEIL said. Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm not saying it's the child's fault because we know now the child has the mind of a 4, 5, or 6-year-old. He did not give them his mother's name. He probably knows her name. I'm going to assume he knows her name. But that is just a wild situation, which leads me back to how many other children are now in custody that actually have parents here in the United States that they could have been reunited with. Why is this happening? This is totally. These are not like they're grown adults who ran across that border on their own accord. These are children brought over with parents who don't have a choice, right? They're not. It's not their fault that they are where they are. I'm very kind of disturbed with this situation, and I don't think this should be happening. So let me look at something right now and see if we can figure out how many of these kids this has actually happened to, okay? So how many teenagers, or how many children, I was going to say children, have been taken in by ICE without their parents, because that's what it is. A little baby dog's over here sitting beside me just snoring away. Oh boy. Okay, hang on guys. Let's pull it up over here. Okay. Well, no, that's not that's. Let me go to this other website. Let's see if they have the information I'm looking for. Oh my goodness. So been taken in custody without parents. Boy. Okay. This should pull up the answer I'm looking for. All right. Now, this is interesting because there is no exact number for children taken into custody without the parents by ICE, but reports indicate significant numbers. For example, a 2025 CNN article identified over 100 U.S. citizens' children left without parents due to immigration actions. Additionally, in a single year, a U.S. senator's press release cited internal records showing ICE referred over 400 children to shelters some of whom were separated from their parents. More than 100 U.S. citizens' children, okay, so that's been identified. We have over 400 in shelters, and the report identified these showing as ICE referred more than nationwide 400 children to these. They're unaccompanied minors, some who were separated by parents. Children separated from their parents at the border, which is a whole nother level, between 2018 and 2025, the U.S. government has been under increasing scrutiny for family separation policies. For example, in 2022, 12,212 children were expelled to the U.S. without their parents under Title 42. They were expelled, okay? Migrant children left without sponsors. Here's another problem. Some children may be placed in foster care or other facilities after their parents are detained, and some of them may be at risk of not being able to find their parents due to the challenges of immigration enforcement. So you're going to have a whole lot of children out here that do not have their parents, and I've never been a fan of that, never. Okay, there's rules, there's laws, I understand all that, but these children are impacted when these children had no say over how they got here or where they landed. That's the important part here. Yes, it is their parents' fault, but the children. Now, here's another one. I want you to listen to this. Here's one right here. A 13-year-old boy was arrested and taken by ICE to a detention center, all right? Any mother adores getting phone calls from their children. For Joselia Berto, there are now a lifeline, and the only way for her to know where her 13-year-old son is and what he's facing alone. I only talk to him, never to any official who would explain what kind of place it is or what's happening. This is what she told CNN. Last Thursday, she was called by police in Everett, Massachusetts, a Boston suburb, who said her son Arthur had been arrested. She was told she needed to pick him up. But Berto left the police station without Arthur that night. After waiting in the station for more than an hour, an officer informed her Immigration and Customs Enforcement had already taken him away. He was 13 years old. He knew where his mother was. Why didn't they let her come pick him up? They didn't give me any information, said Berto, who is from Brazil and along with her family have had a pending asylum application since arriving in the United States in 2021. She's got a pending case. I asked her where he was being taken, and they said they weren't allowed to say. Berto and her attorney, Andrew, I'm going to say this wrong, I know I am, Latrulio, both told CNN they spent days waiting to learn what led to the arrest information that finally came out Tuesday afternoon. Everett Mayor Carl DeMaria said in a news conference a teenage boy, whom he declined to name because he is a juvenile, was arrested last week after Everett police received a credible tip accusing him of making a violent threat against another boy within our public school. All right. DeMera said, police did not contact ICE about the juvenile's arrest and is not targeting immigrants in the city, which he said has a sizable of undocumented population. Well, if you did not contact ICE, then how did ICE get over there to pick him up? How did ICE know he was there? Somebody called ICE and said, we have a child over here who's been arrested for something at a public school who's undocumented without his parents. He's 13 years old. Where are his rights? I understand. Okay, don't start with the hate stuff. I know. There's rules, there's laws, there's all that. But again, this child was brought here by his parents he had no say-so. He could not say, no, I don't want to go there. He had to go wherever his parents took him. They have a pending case. It's not like they're not they're undocumented, but they're documented because they have a pending case, right? Okay. So somebody told. But he was vague about how federal authorities came to know about the case and to take the teen away within hours. ICE operates independently and has the authority to access certain law enforcement databases and take action on its own accord. Again, this is the 13-year-old. Latorlio said Tuesday night he was still trying to obtain the police report. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time a juvenile has been taken by ICE from an Everett Police Department. Police Chief Paul Strong said that the news conference, this is what he told him, Now, Barretto's case is drawing local outrage and nationwide attention as a Department of Homeland Security official publicized it was a claim that is contradicted by local police. Well, how is it contradicted? The child is clearly in custody with ICE. So, no, there's not a contradiction. He was taken from that police department by ICE. Okay. A judge ordered ICE to explain the boy's detention. Thank you. The judge should have explained that. There should be an explanation. This should never happen. After learning her son was detained by ICE, Barretto's immigration attorneys took the case to federal court. A judge in Massachusetts ordered that the government to either explain by Tuesday night why Arthur's detention is justified or give him the opportunity to be released on bond. It was not clear Wednesday afternoon whether that explanation had been filed by the deadline. A judge agreed to allow the filing under seal, but the court document was not listed on the online case docket, and Laturillo told CNN he had not seen it as of Tuesday night. Detention violates his rights. Listen to this. Detention violates his right due to process under the Fifth Amendment, says a habeas corpus petition filed Friday on Arthur's case. The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment on this case. Barretto initially only learned about her son's whereabouts through his phone calls. He has called her from two different immigration facilities, one in Massachusetts and the other in Virginia. He cried a lot because he had never been away from home or his family, said Barretto. He was desperate, saying ICE had taken him. Barretto told CNN Arthur that had been home from school recently because he broke his foot and still needed to wear a walking boot after having a cast removed. On Thursday afternoon, he told his aunt he was going to take the bus to a friend's house. It was at a nearby bus stop. He told his mother that he was arrested. The first details came not from a prosecutor, but from a post on X by the top spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security, responding to the media request about his case. Here are the facts. He posed a public safety threat with an extensive rap sheet, including violent assault with a dangerous weapon, battery, breaking and entering, destruction of property. This is from the Assistant Secretary, Tricia McLaughlin, posted. He was in possession of a firearm and a 5 to 7 inch blade when arrested. McLaughlin did not share further details about the allegations, although Mayor DeMaria confirmed, that the presence of the knife and said there could have been a tragedy in our schools without the arrest. He was adamant that the teen did not have a firearm. Okay, so did he or did he not? Okay, who's making up a rule? Who's making up what to make this okay to arrest this 13-year-old and take him to ICE? Okay, no gun was found, Maria said. Because he is a juvenile, Arthur's criminal record is not public. Police declined Tuesday to give specifics on the nature of the threat or say which school was involved. DHS did not respond Tuesday evening to CNN's request for comment on the discrepancy between the statements or whether the child had a gun. Okay. Yes, his record is going to not be public because he is a juvenile. But here, let me ask you a question. How do we know that what they're saying is on this record? Because we're never going to see it because he is a juvenile. Is this being an exaggerated case to make an excuse as to why this behavior happened in the first place to this 13-year-old? Was he at the bus stop bothering anybody? Or is this simply from something that happened in a school that has been that's been made worse because it's turned into a battle over his right to be here or not right to be here, okay? So, Barretto, who told CNN she was shocked by the allegations, declined to comment on any criminal history and directed questions to the matter to her attorney. When asked about McLaughlin's comments that Arthur had a rap sheet, Laturillo did not address it in a statement to CNN. Regardless of the nature of allegations, they remain just that, allegations, and every individual is entitled to due process of law. Laturillo said in a statement following this post, the principle applies even more strongly to a minor who is far below the age of legal consent. DHS commenting publicly about juveniles' allegations is improper. It absolutely is. They seem to forget he's 13 and not 31, Laturillo added. A spokesperson for ICE declined on Monday to speak about the case and referred CNN to McLaughlin's statement. ICE detainees get moved from state to state. Listen to this. Latourell criticized Arthur's transfer to an out-of-state facility, saying it raises serious concerns about the access to counsel and the government's intent to hinder effective legal representation. The attorney's only contact with federal officials about this case was from a Trump administrating attorney who reached out on Sunday, asking if they would be willing to have their case moved from Massachusetts to Virginia since Berto is now held there. Latourell said he declined to agree to a change of venue, but Judge Richard Stearns ordered the case moved to a court in Virginia on Wednesday. Stearns said his Massachusetts courtroom was not the proper place to consider the petition since Arthur was taken out of state 1 hour before the case was filed. 1 hour. He added that the teenager deserves a prompt bond hearing and under existing legal agreement concerning immigration cases involving minors known as the Flores settlement. Consequently, the court agrees with the respondent that it lacks jurisdiction over the merits of the petition, says Stearns. Wow, this is a lot of BS about something serious here. Who is going to be responsible for this child? What if this child is injured in this facility by adults? He's 13 years old. The shell game of ICE transferring people in custody to different states without notice to their families or attorneys is a familiar one. Muhammad Khalali, the Columbia University graduate who organized the pro-Palestinian protest on campus and one of the first high-profile detainees of Trump's second term, was arrested in New York and detained briefly in New Jersey before being moved more than 1,000 miles away to a facility in Louisiana. He remained there for more than 100 days before a federal judge ordered him to be released on bail. Badar Ansari, this is another person, a postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown University, ended up in Texas after a meandering journey through holding facilities in Virginia and Louisiana. He was released in May after another federal judge said administration had failed to provide any evidence of his detention was necessary. So, this goes on and on. This is my first child's case, Latourell told CNN. This is the youngest one I've ever done. Dozens of community members showed up to the Everett County City Council meeting Tuesday night calling for Arthur's release. This was reported by CNN affiliates. Arthur must be returned home now. So local high school teacher Jessica Gold Booth, not next week, it must happen now. This is one of his teachers. One member of the council called for retraction of McLaughlin's disputed statement that the child had a gun. Issue a formal correction of the misinformation spread online, Everett said to the city councilor, Katie Rogers. Other relatives are worried about him being detained. He's 13 years old, okay? He's in with grown people from everywhere. Okay? Without direct access to his parents or attorneys, Berto isn't certain about Arthur's well-being. It is a concern since also weighs on her 10-year-old son. She's also got a 10-year-old son, right? A younger son keeps asking about him, and she says, if I know anything, if it's really been hard. They also have concerns about their own future. Since our asylum process is still pending, we were already afraid, and now the fear has grown. Berta said, we don't know if they'll come for us next, but whether Arthur's case will ultimately result in his family going back to Brazil voluntarily or not is now one of many unanswered questions they face as Berta waits for her phone to ring again, hoping the next call will be her son. Wow. Right now, I just want my son free, she said. We'll think about the rest of it later. Now, that's kind of a terrible story. Okay, so that is, let's see, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old. There is another one that I found earlier today, and I was shocked about how many of these kids are just being taken like that. Wow. So here's the question. Can ICE take children out of schools? Well, let's read about that. While the government states that ICE generally does not target schools, okay, recent policy changes have removed legal protection, allowing them to enter school grounds under certain conditions, often requiring a judicial warrant to enter private areas like classrooms. Schools can direct agents to public areas and must obtain written consent from a parent or a valid judicial warrant before questioning or removing a student from a private space. The decision to enter schools requires high-level approval from specific ICE officials. I don't think they should ever be allowed to enter a school, ever. Now, if you have a child who's been arrested Even if the child's been arrested for something at the school, they do not have the right to go pick the child up from the police department and take it to some ICE facility. Again, these are minors, right? They are minors. Here's the rights. So this is what it boils down to. What are the rights? Know your rights. Families can learn about their rights through resources like Know Your Rights app and the Red Cards. Do not open the door. Do not open the door to ICE without a warrant, and do not answer all questions without legal advice. Prepare for emergencies. Keep emergency contact information updated at the school and have a plan for who will care for your child if there is a separation. Seek legal counsel. Community organizations can provide legal advice and assistance. Well, they need to set the record straight. All minors are minors. It doesn't matter where they're from. They are a minor, okay? You do not have the right to just treat an undocumented minor as if they were an adult and do whatever you want to. No, sir. I disagree with this 100%. You do not go into a school and take children out of it. No. This is so shocking and horrible. And I think the little boy, the 15-year-old, needs to be, if he has done something wrong, he needs to be put on bond. If he is his parents currently have a case pending, they have an asylum date set that they are going to go to court to plead for their case, then he needs to be released back to his parents until this date comes. Let the courts do their job, not ICE deciding for them right now, because that's not the rules. It is disturbing. And the child, this 15-year-old who's autistic, who's got the mind of a 4 or 5-year-old, can you imagine the that's so traumatic to this child? He's already struggling, and now he's struggling by himself. It's just miles away from his parents, because now he's been transferred to a whole different state. How can they do this? Oh my God. Well, prayers for that family, and I really hope that the child gets released to his parents soon. He needs to be with his mom. Okay? He needs to be with his mom. This should have never happened. And I hope people out here understand this should not happen. And I hope people talk about it. And I hope people realize they should never allow these children to be taken from schools or from anywhere. You just don't pick up children like that. You don't pick up children. Wow. I've seen a lot of things happen that I thought would never happen, but this one is stooping pretty low. To me, it's stooping pretty low. So I just wanted to just hop on for a moment, because I told Carla HH from chat last night that I certainly would talk about this today, and I am going to talk about it. And I need to find some more information on this, the whole situation, because oh my God, it's like I cannot even think of the words to speak about when you hear about an autistic child has been removed. Oh my God. Has been taken to, oh my God. And not released back to his parents. I mean, so the one that had in Houston, who had the emergency appendectomy, he has the appendectomy, and then he's taken right back to the ICE facility. Why was he not released to his mother? I don't understand that. Let's go back to Houston and look at this again. So Houston, 15-year-old, in ICE custody. It's just, wow. Okay, let me come back over here for this for a second. Let me see if there's anything else that's happened today. October the 5th, October the 10th, 11th, today's the 15th. That was yesterday at the city council meeting. They had that. We talked about that. Well, I mean, listen. Federal law requires that most unaccompanied children. He was not unaccompanied. He has parents right there in Houston. He was with his mom and sister. They were selling fruit that day. How they got separated, I don't know. Okay, I wish I did know the answer to that. But we know that children with autism do wander, they elope, they do several things. And, that could have been how he ended up getting separated from his mother. I'm not sure about that. Let's see if there's anything else that's come up about this right now that I can talk about. I don't see nothing. Let's see, nothing new there. I'm just reading through all the news stories to see if there's anything that's changed in the last 24 hours. Okay, so he has the surgery. He's back over there. Jesus. Listen to this. This is kind of interesting. Why do you lie? Okay, here's a heated exchange. Erupts during a Houston City Council meeting. Oh boy. A heated confrontation erupted during a Houston City Council meeting on Wednesday morning after remarks by Police Chief Noe Diaz about a case involving a mother separated from her autistic son. As Mayor John Whitmore was announcing the 20-minute recess, Cesar Espinoza, the executive director of the FIEL, Houston-based the advocacy organization, stood up and began shouting at Diaz, demanding to know why the chief wouldn't meet with him. Why do you lie? Why do you lie? Chief Diaz, we've been trying to meet with you, Espinoza shouted. The child is autistic. Proper care that he deserves. Do not lie. Do not lie. Moments later, the audio feed from the meeting was cut off. Naturally so, of course. The exchange appeared to be tied to the case of the 15-year-old Emmanuel Gonzalez Garcia, a Houston teen with autism who was separated from his mother after being taken into federal custody. So, police later found him. Okay, here's what it says. He disappeared on October the 4th with his mother, who was selling fruit in Houston's northwest side. Police later found him at the McDonald's near Airline Drive, and that he had reportedly said he had no family and contacted federal agencies that placed him in immigration custody. Now, why would he say he had no family? I kind of don't believe that part of the story. But again, I was not there. I do not know. I'm only reading from what's been reported in the news. So, advocates say Emmanuel functions cognitively at the level of a 4 or 5-year-old, and that he should have never been separated from his mother. That's right, he should not have been. How did he get to McDonald's? What happened there? We don't have the answers. Nobody's talked about that. So, he's currently hospitalized at Texas Children's Hospital, where he recently underwent emergency surgery for appendicitis. His mother had been allowed limited contact with him since he was in separation. She now needs a sponsor to pick him up because she's not a U.S. citizen. City officials have not commented further on the outburst or whether it was connected to the ongoing case. She needs a sponsor to pick him up. So they're going to release him if she can get a sponsor to pick him up because she's not a documented person? How does this make any sense? Oh boy. It was just said that they had a pending asylum, didn't it? So, let me go back over here and look at this other story here. I'm just finding any and everything I can about this story. Okay, hold on, let me pull this up right here. There is a YouTube story that I'm going to have to go share my screen with, so just give me one moment because I'm going to have to do it this way. But we'll talk for a minute while I do this. I hope you all get a chance to watch this whenever you can later today. It's fine. I always say just come whenever you can because we're not all on the same schedule. We can't all just go watch YouTube any old time we want to. So that's fine. But let me get back over here and find this little story about him. Oh boy, that is crazy. Autistic. Okay. Can you imagine? Her baby's in the hospital. He's having surgery. Wow. And she allowed to go see him? Was she allowed to go see him? I hope so. I hope she was allowed to go see him. Imagine that. I can't imagine my child being in the hospital like that. Because that was 4 days ago. This is 3 days ago, 2 hours ago. Oh, okay. Now here we go. This is from 2 hours ago, guys. So hold on a second. Let's see here. Okay. Whoop, let me get this over here. Okay. Hold on. Don't do that. Oh, my little mouse is trying to act up on me now. Come on. Okay. All right. So, this child is autistic. He's failed. Listen. This child is autistic and he's failed in education. He hasn't gotten the proper care he deserves because of failing administration at the federal, county, and different levels. Don't lie, Whitmore. Don't lie. This is when he's being yelled at. The outburst at the city council happened more than a week after the 15-year-old was reportedly went missing. He was selling fruit with his mother near the intersection of Clay and Hempstead. Oh, that's a bad area in Houston, too. I grew up in Houston, so I'm very familiar with it. So, in the Clay and Hempstead roads, Espinoza said Houston Police Department officers found the teen on October 5th, but informed his family he was placed with federal officials. Again, this is an autistic child at the 4 or 5-year-old level. I'm trying to find the little, I saw a, let me go back and find the story, the other story I found about it where we can look at it. There's the news about him. It was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 1 day ago, Fox Houston. Let's see if it's a story that we can, let's see if we can share a screen on this one. Okay. Oh, hang on a second. We're going to share our screen. One momento, por favor. I don't speak Spanish. I'm just playing with you guys. But anyway. Oops. Oh, come on now. Uh-oh. Well, it didn't go over there, did it? So, here we go. Oh, I got to go there. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Okay, here. Let's share the screen now. Okay. Oops. I got to go down here and share the screen, the poor boy. Sometimes, you know. Okay, stop that screen. Let's share the screen. All right. Share my screen, and it's going to be this one here. Come on. Oh, it doesn't want to share, does it? Oh, here it is. I think it's this one. Oh, let me go back one. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Oh, bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Sharing the story right here. We get this over here big. Okay. Okay, is it playing? All right. Well, we got to have it first. Right? I can't skip the ad. It's gonna play. Okay, I got to fix that. Here we go. Why does it look like that? That's crazy. Oh, there we go. Oh, Oh, all right. Well, there you have it. That's their answer to it. We're going to hold everybody accountable. We're going to find an answer. So, okay, so here's the question. Let me get rid of this. Stop. I need to stop sharing the screen over here so it'll go away. All right, now. So let me ask you this. Here's the question I have for this. They're going to hold everybody accountable. They're going to take care of this immediately. Yet the boy who just had surgery for his appendicitis is not back with his mother yet. This has been going on for days. Why? I don't understand why it's so complicated. But then I also have questions. Was the child in school before this happened? Was the child getting an education? What was going on in the child's life before this happened? It is not the child's fault. Don't ever think it is never the child's fault, period. No matter what was going on, it was never his fault. But he does need to be returned to his mother. I don't want him to be held over in some facility somewhere as an undocumented child with no parents. Mother's right there. The guy's exactly right. His mother's right there. So anyway, I just want to stop and talk about that for a little bit. I just hope that there's a resolution to this soon. And I hope from his case, I hope that something can be done and we don't have another case just like this. This should not be happening here in the United States of America, right? I mean, children are never responsible for what their parents have done. So no matter how they got here, no matter what was going on, it is never the child's fault. And I can understand him being autistic, him having, the mind of a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old, him not really understanding. We don't even know if he speaks English well enough for them to understand what he was trying to say to them. We just don't have all the answers. But hopefully this will get resolved soon. And I hate that this happened to her or to him. To the whole family. I hate that this happened to their family. And I hope it doesn't happen again to anybody else. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to get back to my day. Some of us are working on something else. I hope you all know that on Saturday night we're going to have here we go. Let me turn this off over here. We're going to have a big show with Lady Freedom and a panel. Devin Tate's biological mother. One of Devin Tate's grandmothers is going to come on with us, and we're all going to talk about and bring it forward what's going on with the Devin Tate case, which is also a very in the news, high-profile case that should be solved. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of answers that aren't answered. There's a lot of things going on in that case. There's a lot of deep diving that needs to happen. And so, although we really don't, I know that true crime is not really what my channel is really about, but because this case speaks to me, and because some of my good friends are involved in it, and my heart goes out to this mother. My heart goes out to this family. I just really want to do something to help. So on our Little Red and Sprinkled live show, Saturday night at 8:15, we're going to come forward and we're going to put on a big show. Y'all look forward to it. I look forward to seeing you all there. I don't know if we're going to do a live before then. I'm trying to pull something together with my good buddy, my co-host Sprinkled. I'll be talking to her later this afternoon. Try to pull the show together. But other than that, you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. And as I always tell people, be careful out there. Take care of yourself. Hug your babies, please. Your time with your babies is precious. It goes by so fast. Don't be the one to say, I wished I would have. Just do it now. Bye, guys. Have a good day.